Hi. Yanni, I love you. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. Yanni, I love you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How is everybody doing today? Good morning. Love you, Yanni. I'm so happy to see everybody. Hello, good morning. Hi. Hello. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Hello. Happy Saturday. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, everybody. I am so grateful to be alive this morning and to be able to, my eyes are watering, to be able to talk to you all today. And I am wearing a sweater because it's there's like a chill in the air. And I had on like a shirt like this, and I was like, wow, there's like a chill in the air. I need a sweater. Sweater weather. Sweater weather. Sweater weather. Feliz Sábado. Thank you, Kathy, to everybody who has listened to the Tell Me What to Do podcast on The Other Woman. If you have not listened to the one on what happens after an affair, you might want to start with that one from last week and listen to what happens to us after an affair, and then listen to the conversation with the other woman back to back. Those are really interesting. So if you have some time today, you can listen to an episode of the podcast. And just wanted to come on here really quick to tell you, first of all, how glorious it is to be alive and start to see the change of the seasons. So nice. And I just wanted to tell you something. When I was in fifth grade, I believe it was fifth grade. I was fifth grade? Nope. It's a lie. I don't remember the grade. But I remember writing a paper, and this is when, whatever grade I was in, we were still writing like introduction paragraphs and then 3 body paragraphs and then the conclusion. So most of our papers were one sheet, so I was young, right? So maybe 6th grade, whatever. And I remember it was the first time that I had ever heard the term gender equality. And I remember like, what does that even mean? I mean, this was the 80s. You know what I mean? Like, nobody talks about gender equality in the 80s. Like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, what does that even mean? And I remember that I had my first understanding, although small, that there was a view in the world, hold on, just blocking people. There was a view in the world, I had this first time, that women were perceived as like less than. And I also had the understanding at that point that there were some women who were okay with that. Yeah, because I felt very offended that there was a notion in the world that women were less than. I remember feeling that in like 6th grade. I was like, wait a minute, what? We are less than? What does that even mean? How can we be, right? And there were some girls, women in the world who were like, it's fine. And I was like, fine? What the what? And so I learned at a very young age that gender equality was going to be a conversation that would go on. I didn't dream at 10 or 11 or 12 years old that it would go on as long as it has. I think naively, I thought surely people will realize women are as capable and important as men, and that'll just be it. Turns out that's not the case. Gender equality is not a liberal or conservative issue. You can be liberal and be for gender equality, and you can be conservative and be for gender equality. That's how that works. You can think women should get paid the same amount that a man does to do the same job. If a female is a heart surgeon and went to medical school and can save your life, she should make the same amount as a man who is a heart surgeon who went to medical school who can save your life. I don't understand why that part is not like just yes, right? Like, sure. So when I first learned about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I was like, first of all, she's from Brooklyn. So for me, my father was from Brooklyn. For me, growing up in the 80s and the 90s, people from Brooklyn were like, considered like hard. My father was like a hippie Jew from Brooklyn. He was not hard at all. But it doesn't surprise me that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is from Brooklyn. It doesn't surprise me that she took on gender equality. Now, I know that later in life, once she was on the Supreme Court, she became synonymous with a very liberal, what is considered a very liberal-leaning judge. But let's take the Supreme Court completely out of it so that we can discuss her legacy without making it a political party issue. Ruth Bader Ginsburg went to Harvard and served as the first woman on the Harvard Law Review. And she was bullied and spit on and shit on because she was perceived to have taken a spot for a man in Harvard. When her husband was diagnosed with cancer in 1956, she not only went to her own law classes, she went to her husband's law classes and took notes for him to make sure that he never fell behind. Okay? Even while people didn't think she should be there. When he graduated from law school a year before she did and got a job in New York, she left Boston with him, moved to New York, got into Columbia, where she was again the first woman to serve on the Columbia Law Review, where she was again spit on and shit on for being a woman who took a spot of a man. She was one of 6 women in Columbia Law School at the time, okay? And graduated number 1 in her class. Number 1 in her class. She had no choice. She did it all while taking care of her daughter and helping her husband after he went through treatment and recovered from cancer. The thing about Ruth Bader Ginsburg is what people don't understand is she had to fight harder. She had to overprove herself. She had to graduate number 1 in her class because nobody wanted her there. They did not believe that she belonged there. They did not believe that she deserved to be there. Now, I understand that the world up until that point was very male focused. I totally get it. And it's hard for us in 2020 to look back at 1953 to 58 to 59, 60 and think, was it really that long ago that women were basically amoebas? It wasn't really that long ago. I bring this up to say that sometimes we allow politics to cloud our view of somebody or something so significantly that we lose sight of their contribution to what benefits us. And so I say to you, if you have ever felt slighted or less than, or found out that you were being paid less than the guy who made widgets next to you, or whatever, please know that there were women like Ruth Bader Ginsburg who fought tirelessly so that you could get the job you wanted, you could get into the school you wanted, you could demand, or at least, very least, request the same pay. The thing about gender inequality is that it still exists. How many times in schools do boys' sports get so much more accolade and attention and funds and coaching than girls' sports? I mean, it's... All right, Ken, I gotta block you, buddy, because you're just losing your fucking mind there. There is a movie about Ruth Bader Ginsburg called On the Basis of Sex. It is not sex like intercourse, it is sex like gender. Losing her yesterday feels especially hard for women who understand her contribution to gender equality. I am so grateful to the work that she did for women long before Bill Clinton appointed her to the Supreme Court in 1993. She was only the second woman to ever be appointed to the Supreme Court behind Sandra Day O'Connor, who was the first. The second. In the history of the Supreme Court of the United States, there have been two. Sandra Day O'Connor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And this is Ruth's point. When people hear the word equality, they tend to think less for me so you can have some. That's not how equality works, okay? Equality means equal. That's all. So I suppose if you have 9 seats on the Supreme Court as men, and we want equality, so we say, hey, give us 4. Give women 4 seats on the Supreme Court. That might feel like less than. I could see how that would feel like less than if you as men have had the 9 seats for the history of the Supreme Court. Sure. But we've had 100% forever. We've always had it all. Men have had it all of it. Sure. It feels like less than. Absolutely. But it actually isn't. It is because you've never had to share. But equality is, a democracy is best and strongest when all its people are represented. Okay? Alicia, that is, you're listening to rumors. Nothing has been announced. I wouldn't say anything in writing about anybody who's nominating anybody, because if he doesn't nominate the person you think he's nominating, you're going to look like a fool. So you can say, I heard that, or there are rumors that, but I wouldn't put anything concrete in writing right now. Also, the woman just died. Do you maybe want to let her, I don't know, get laid to rest before you start glorifying the next nomination? They did that to Scalia too, and it drove me up a fucking wall. All I'm saying is equality for women shouldn't be such a hot button topic. It shouldn't be such a big deal. We're raising daughters. Don't you want your daughters to have a seat at the table? I mean, the table has been full of men since tables were built. Yes, there are still 2 women on the Supreme Court. Yes, I'm just talking about Ruth specifically and her journey. We can talk about those other 2 at another time, but you're absolutely right. There are. Again, when you teach your children, so Olivia, of course, and Max, I was like, everybody Google Ruth Bader Ginsburg right now. They were like, Mom, I'm like, I don't care. Google her right now. Google her and read her entire Wikipedia page. I want you to understand what her contribution was, because we will not be uneducated in this house. We will not have profound understanding of the people who came before us, so we may have seats at the table. And Max, you will understand why your gender is not required to have every seat at the table. So everybody read. Charlie's at a soccer game, or she would have had to read too. Anyway, they read all about it, and I said, now teach me. I want you to teach me, based on what you read. Teach me about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And they were miserable. They're like, it's Saturday. This is so dumb. Great. It's Saturday. It's not dumb. Let's go. So Max and Olivia had to teach me about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And it is important to me that they are educated on who she is. Yes, Denise, sad that some fathers don't even want their own daughters to have a seat at the table. That is true. Some mothers don't either. Some mothers don't either. I actually know a ton of women who are happy to vote against gender equality. They're not interested. They don't care. It's not a priority to them. And I'm not talking about liberal or conservative. I'm talking about women who have looked me in the face and said gender equality is just not important to me. Okay. I don't get it. Personally, I don't understand it. Maybe it's because I want to be a professional in my life. Maybe it's because I have to work 3 times as hard as the men in my life. Maybe it's because I had a conversation with the head of a studio the other day, and he said, I'll give you a few filmmakers who could get this project off the ground. And every single one he gave me was a man. Like, every single one. And for me, it's like, they don't even try to pretend. They don't even throw a woman's name in the mix to just be politically correct. They don't give a shit. And to me, it's like, you can be a conservative and still think women deserve a seat at the table. You can be a liberal and still think women deserve a seat at the table. You can be anything and still go like, hey, your entire leadership is men. You know, I look back at my father's office when I was young. All the leadership in my father's office was men. All men. The women were all secretaries. Now, that was a lot more of what the 80s was, but I don't know that it ever even occurred to my dad to try to find, like, oh, wait a minute. Daryl, he did have one woman in his office who had a leadership position. One. But honestly, that's not enough. One. I think we need to look around at our world now. Thank you, Danielle. You also always have a seat at my table. I just really believe that I just love women. Oh, women of color, don't even get me started on what they've been up against. That's a whole other conversation. In fact, I've done a coffee talk on that. You could go back and see me screaming and spitting and crying on that one, because don't get me started on what women of color, Latinos, African Americans, Asians have had to go through. If you think gender equality for white women is bad, oh my God. I just don't understand how, Sabrina, your company is the exception, not the rule. And what's the name of your company? I'd love to shout them out. Sabrina Pass says her company leads with a lot more women. I love that. I would absolutely love to know what company you work for so I can look them up. Leanne, you're missing the point, and I don't even think your point is helpful. Like, it isn't, you're calling out a specific, so you're sitting where you're sitting and you're criticizing a group of women who have actually done something. So you're a talker criticizing the doers. I can't even go for that. And it also has nothing to do with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and it also has nothing to do with gender equality. You think whatever hat I put on my head takes away what I believe a woman should, so because you don't take it seriously, that means what? That means what? You're not for women's equality because you didn't like their hats? You should be fucking bowled over with gratitude that women of any March for Life, March for Equality, I feel the way every time I see women in the streets coming together to march for anything they believe in, it takes my breath away. Yes, please use your voice, ladies. I don't care what you're marching for. No, I saw your comment, Leanne. I saw your comment. You're saying because they were wearing pink cat hats or pink pussy hats, you couldn't take them seriously. Okay. I feel differently. I think that anytime women use what democracy has supposedly given to us, it is important. Absolutely, Nicole Lowry. Absolutely. She says, I'm a conservative and her life should be celebrated. Any woman who exceeds is a champion in my book. Exactly. It isn't. This is a equality conversation. This isn't a political one. Women should champion women anytime we say enough is enough. Enough is enough. And I want to just say, I would like to say thank you, truly, to any woman who has ever stood up for her rights, for her job, for her family, for her equal pay. Well, I asked her what company she worked for. She didn't want to tell me. It's weird. I'd love to shout them out. If they have all these women in leadership, I would love to know who they are. I'm telling you, I'm all ears. Nothing inspires me more than women lifting each other up. It's why I started Coffee Talk. Doesn't mean I'm going to let you say whatever you want to me. I know that's what you hoped, that I would be like a pincushion for everybody's comment. No, absolutely not. I'm not a pincushion for your shit. But Coffee Talk was started to celebrate kindness, social responsibility. People go, oh, they're March for Life. They want to take away. Stop. If millions of women want to take to the streets to march for something they believe in, I celebrate it. Good for them. million women march, wanting to march with pink pussy hats against what they believe is male misogyny. Great. Good for them. If I'm not doing, who the hell am I to say shit about the doers? And Ruth Bader Ginsburg, thank you for consistently breaking the ceiling and doing it with class and dignity. Don't think I didn't see the beautiful conversation she had with Judge Sciala, the way they spoke to each other, the way they respected each other, even though they were fundamentally different. It is exactly how I want discourse to be. And I want women to have a seat at the table. Just give us an opportunity to have a conversation. That's all. Just give us an opportunity to march for life. Give us an opportunity to march against misogyny. Give us an opportunity for mothers against drunk driving, for whatever it is. I just want every woman to feel like she has a seat at the table, and I want us to be grateful and thankful to the women who came before us and served this country in any capacity. As a woman, let me tell you about me. I can respect any woman who says, I fundamentally disagree with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but I am so grateful for her work with gender equality. That's it. I love that. Thank you. I don't even care if someone says to me, I've had so many people say to me, I can't stand personally Hillary Clinton, but I am grateful for her service to this country. Great. I respect you. Thank you for acknowledging any woman. Nancy Reagan, Laura Bush, any of these, Sandra Day O'Connor, any of these women, you as women, we have to understand that without the women who come before us, we are nothing. That's it. So it is okay to say, I fundamentally disagree. You could disagree with me. You could disagree with, I can't think of somebody's name right now, but you know what I mean. You don't have to agree with me all the time. This is a place you can disagree with me. You could say, Jamie, 86% of the time, I don't agree with you, but I'm grateful that you try. Okay, I appreciate that. Somebody said, there will always be a woman behind the man. The man wouldn't even be here without a woman. Don't ever forget that. It is our ability to bring children into this world that even makes the man. So thank you. Thank you to Ruth Bader Ginsburg and to every woman who has been a pioneer, but specifically today for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of Brooklyn's finest. Thank you for leading and serving this country. Thank you for shattering glass ceilings and for continuing on even when you were told you didn't belong, you weren't good enough, there was no seat for you. I love that. Thank you. Cindy McCain, fundamentally disagree, amazing woman. Thank you. Michelle Obama, fundamentally disagree, she said, amazing woman. Correct. There you go. Women who have to serve in capacities that we don't serve and are called to do things we don't have to do. Yes. And without women, there would be no people. And that's just the fucking fact. And we are valued 70 cents on the dollar. And that's just a fact too. All right. I love you guys very much, even if we fundamentally disagree. I love you. I'm grateful for you. I appreciate every single effort you make towards gender equality, whether it's teaching your girls, teaching your sons, educating yourself, speaking out. You can say today, I did not agree with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but I am so grateful for her work in gender equality. There you go. It's a beautiful sentiment. I love you so much today. Have a great, great day.